This week, one of the mainstays of Hyundai's range, the
i30
hatch
inline manual.
manual. That's the biggest thing that this car has over most of the other cars that we drive, is that this is a manual.
Which is often coming for the more performance cars, but this is not a real hot one. The inline is to the top of the range luxury in a sense.
Oh, well, there is a premium as well in this.
Ah, of course.
Yes, and this has a 1.6 litre turbocharged GDI engine, so gasoline direct injection engine with that 6-speed manual.
I love it when you talk technical.
It's about as technical as I get. Now, one thing I did notice about this was a couple of different fronts, and this is released about, 4 years ago. David and I went to the launch of that. And one thing I noticed since then, with the update, came a couple of different front ends. Now, this is different to the sedan.
Everything's different from the sedan.
The sedan looks much more modern and hip-hop and happening, David.
That's because it's much more modern.
Along the side, these daytime running lights look much better in that sort of little crystal triangle bit that they've got on some of the cars. I think that looks good. And this is what I mean by the side. This just doesn't thrill me like it once did. It's not that it isn't good, it's a great car, and along with Corolla is among the best hatchback sellers in the country.
But the line here is just very straight and traditional.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
in the
better
window as well. Nice wheels. Nice wheels though. And it does have active locking and unlocking. So, the mirrors do unfold when you walk up towards it with the key in your pocket. And around the back, the tail lights, they've had a little bit of an upgrade as well. Not that you'd notice.
A little bit, I think, is the operative word.
Manual hatch, which I'm okay with.
Plenty of room.
Plenty of space, 60-40 splitting back seats, and a space saver spare tyre. I think it's essential to have a physical spare. And getting into the back, decent wide opening door, almost 90 degrees. You got your feet in pretty easily. How's the knee room?
Not a lot, but I still feel comfortable. I feel like I'm sitting up a bit high too. Not too high, I like that.
Well, the view from there is actually not too bad. I mean, the headrest is in your way, but it is in all cars. I do like the trim that's down on the vent there.
Just a little bit of emphasis.
That's just a little bit of something different.
Adds a little bit of colour in the back here, doesn't it? That really is often quite very bland.
Well, it's meant to match.
Yes, including
the seat belts. In the front, David, is quite spacious.
Well, this is set up for me.
We've got some more of the vents here, look, with the red trim.
I like that I can have plenty of room with my legs, but still have this steering wheel quite close to me.
Yeah. Red stitching on the seat as well, look. And a little bit of kind of woven look. This is leather, but this is kind of like a woven, I presume, vinyl. And there's also some red stitching on the inside of the steering wheel, look. We're inside out of the wind. That was looking a little bit, it's going to blow our Buffon coiffeurs. Inside is very, very simple. We've got a slightly narrower 8-inch screen on this base model N-Line.
The premium has?
10.25. Still got a twin zone climate control area with sync. I do like a sync. Below that, a USB, and that's the one that can connect to the infotainment system. Now, because this system doesn't have navigation, it's got wireless CarPlay. So this is just a thing for the Hyundai group, that for some strange reason, Hyundai just refused to let Apple Maps be dominant. And so any car that's in the Hyundai group that's got navigation doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay, which I think is a bit sad.
I've got a fly in here.
David has a fly. While he disposes of the fly, why don't we get this car out on the road? Now you can see that David's pushed the clutch all the way in, As a general rule, even when you're driving an automatic, you should never use your left-hand foot. That should be for a clutch only. If you've got an automatic car, your clutch foot should be on the rest pedal, the footrest.
One of the problems, some people like the idea of left foot braking, but the trouble is you get so used to pushing it hard that the first time you touch the brake, you push it so hard.
And
you
push your face through the windscreen.
Yeah.
So David's going to take off now slowly. The first thing before we take off, in a manual that's a 6-speed or a 5-speed, this gear stick is sprung, so the middle row is 3rd and 4th. The left-hand row is 1st and 2nd, and the right-hand row is 5th and 6th. Now, depending on which way your gearbox is facing, reverse is either over and up, which is the case here, and there's a little collar down below that you use to give it a release so it won't go over accidentally, or in some cars it's over to the right and down. But of course we can't do that because this doesn't have it. So David, let her rip.
The thing to do with the manual is to find out where the take-up point is. You find it, you give it a little bit of revs, and then you let the car out, the clutch out all the way. Manuals won't let you start the engine unless you've got the clutch in, so that you don't make that mistake.
Yeah, and that's the same with automatics. It won't start unless the car's in park.
There's a story of a roadside maintenance person, repair person, that got called out on a very rainy night. Took an hour and a half to get there because of other jobs. They drove up, the car wouldn't start. He drove up and saw that it was in reverse because of the reversing lights, wound his window down and said, make sure it's in park.
How embarrassment.
Well, the dash is set out very much like a traditional dash. The middle dial is clearly a digital dial, but the others on the side are the more traditional analog types of dial.
Well, that looks like what would that be, 7 inches, do you think?
Sorry?
the LCD on your dash, is that 7 inches?
Well, that's the middle one.
Okay.
It's not bad. The other thing that this does tell me, Alan, is it tells me if I should change up a gear.
Yeah, I found that really annoying. It's like a nanny.
The thing about the manual is that you become more conscious of the revs of the engine because you have the control as to which gear you're in.
Well, you drive by ear, and that's why 3-cylinder engines, they've got a different tone, and I actually can't drive a 3-cylinder engine by ear. One of the things that this car has is hill hold, but it also has auto brake hold and an electric brake. So when you're on a hill, as we are now, and you're wanting to take off, what you can do is have the auto hold on, like I've got now. And you can tell the auto holds on because there's a little green auto hold just yonder. So not only are there differences in the safety gear between the trim levels, but there's also a difference in the suspension between the trim levels as well. The i30 N-line models get a more sophisticated multi-link suspension in the rear, whereas the non-N-line models all get torsion beam, and that goes for whether it's a sedan or a hatch. 87% of i30 sales are hatches. 8% of i30 sales are manual. And the unfortunate thing is, whether it's a manual hatch or a manual sedan, they miss out on some of the really cool stuff that the automatic versions get. For example, some of the autonomous braking and steering functions. The sedan also misses out on the electronic parking brake, the remote starting via key, drive mode, paddle shifters, blind spot collision with avoidance assist, rear cross traffic collision assist, and smart cruise control with stop and go. For obvious reasons, when you stop, the car doesn't push the clutch in for you. The same goes for the i30 hatch manual. Drive modes, paddle shifters, and smart cruise control with stop and go are all missing. As far as safety goes, the i30 hatch range, except for the i30N, which is unrated, gets a 5-star rating from ANCAP. The i30 sedan range is completely unrated. It's not sold in Europe, so there's no NCAP test, and there's unlikely to be an Australian ANCAP test because of the small numbers that the sedan sells in. I do have hill hold, so I've got my foot off the brake now, but it'll only hold for, what is it, David, about 3 seconds?
Short while.
But all of those interesting facts aside, we have come to that time again where if you've liked the film about our i30 hatch manual, hit like.
Make a comment.
And above all, somewhere over there, to subscribe.